Welcome to the Cheating Secrets channel. We hope you enjoy today's story.
I'll tell you exactly what I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear that you're sorry. Everyone is sorry after they get caught. I don't want to hear why you did it. I don't even want to know if this was your first affair. None of that means anything to me. What matters is that you did it. You disgraced our entire family. That's right, you didn't just cheat on me, but on our 4 children as well. They won't have a chance at a normal childhood. You cheated on both our parents. Now the kids won't have normal relationships with their grandparents. You humiliated your entire family, and for what? Go to hell. Just go to hell. As I understand it, you're a lying, cheating piece of garbage, but I talked to a lawyer, as you suggested, and she confirmed that what you threatened me with is very likely. So my life will be miserable for the next 10 years. Imagine my shock when I discovered that by law, you're the one who ruined us, and yet I'm the one who will be punished. Rick, honey, please, I wasn't threatening you. I didn't mean it like that. You have to believe me. I was trying to rationally point out the realities of our life. Yes, I'm a lying cheat, but do our 4 children deserve to pay for my behavior? I understand that the kids come first, but I think in your world, destroying my life is just collateral damage. And please, don't call me honey. You don't have that right anymore. I'm just Rick. And just for laughs, I heard you tell me that I should allow you to continue your affair, even though you're married. I should allow it so I won't be a part-time dad, paying alimony to you and child support for the next 10 damn years. Isn't that a threat? Yesterday, I didn't say it very well. I'm very sorry, but it's hard for me to explain. It's not a blow to you, but he does things to me that make me feel things I've never felt before. I don't love him, but right now, I can't let him go. Yeah, I know. You told me he's bigger and blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry that what I was born with wasn't enough for you. But in my defense, we had sex before marriage, so if my equipment wasn't sufficient, you shouldn't have agreed to marry me. And in 15 years and 4 kids since then, I never heard a single complaint from you about my abilities in bed. Not once. This is all on you, not me. I know that, but please, let me try to explain it better. Go ahead. I love fairy tales. Continue. He waved his hand ceremoniously and plopped back into his chair. In the years since this started, have I ever refused you sex? Have you ever noticed the slightest decrease in my attention to the whole family? Have I ever canceled a dinner with you? Is there anything for which you or the kids could reproach me because of my affair? All of this was true, but it only made him angrier because she still didn't understand anything. Then tell me this. If you hid it so well, took care of my needs, and were a good mother and all that for our kids, why tell me now? At least I had the bliss of my ignorance. Now you've taken even that away from me. I had to tell you, Rick, because someone close to us saw me in a compromising position, and I didn't want you to hear about it from someone else. I had to tell you. How noble. Who saw you with your lover? I want to know, because no one has said anything to me, and I'd like to know who my good friend is. I'm not going to tell you that. I can't. And why not? You don't even want to tell me your lover's name, so this just keeps getting worse. I won't tell you who saw me because it doesn't matter, and it would cause you unnecessary pain. And I won't tell you who my lover is because I know you. You'll attack him. I can't let the father of our children go to jail. They need you. With all the sarcasm he could muster, he said, Oh, well, you seem to know what's best for me in every aspect of my life, so I guess I shouldn't be upset at all. Why don't you explain to me how it would be great for me to sit in a chair like a good little cuckold and watch you have sex so I can clean you both up when you're done? Just stop your sarcasm, Rick. It doesn't suit you. And stop acting so childish. What the hell is a cuckold anyway? No, it's you who's acting childish, Cat. You mean to tell me that in the past year, neither of you ever laughed at me, mocked the size of my equipment, or took any other opportunities to humiliate me? How many times did you sleep with him in my bed, or let him drink my liquor, laughing the whole time I was out of town? Rick didn't even notice the slap until it nearly knocked him off his feet. In his anger, he instinctively began to strike back. Somehow, he managed not to, but he was close. He stood there, rubbing his cheek and working his jaw to make sure it was functional. He was in shock. shocked that she had hit him and horrified that he had almost hit her back. He knew it was time to leave. He needed to put some distance between them. For her part, Kat was equally stunned by her own violence against the man she loved. She opened her eyes wide and covered her mouth with her hands, unable to speak. She began to cry. Everything was falling apart. This was not how she wanted the conversation to go. Coming to her senses, she started apologizing and tried to hug Rick, but he pushed her away. "Rick, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I know you have no reason to believe me, but he was never near our family or home, and neither of us ever said a word about you. I don't know if you believe it, but I can compartmentalize my life. When I'm with you, he doesn't even exist. And when? Right. That also means that when you're with him, the kids and I don't exist, correct?" Kat lowered her head and quietly said, "Yes, Rick, that's true, but it's for the best. I was going to say how you could think that I would humiliate you, but given the circumstances, I don't think there's any point in arguing about it. But it's true. Nothing like that ever happened. Go to hell. Know that I'm going to do a DNA test on the kids." Kat gathered herself to slap him again, but he grabbed her hand and spoke threateningly. "Don't try that again. I'm doing my best to keep my composure. And honestly, considering what you've done to me these past months, you have no right to be shocked by my words." "Okay, Rick, I understand, but we need to find a way to resolve this. My friend is out of our lives." "You mean that scumbag?" It was a statement, not a question, and all the venom inside him was packed into those words. "He's not a scumbag, Rick. He's a good guy." "Of course he is. Just a good guy who sleeps with other people's wives? By the way, since we're talking about it, should I get tested for STDs? I mean, how many other wives is he sleeping with? What filthy diseases is he carrying around? Of course, you can get tested if you want, but we both get tested weekly since our relationship began. I insisted on it to make sure I wasn't putting us at risk." "That's great. I certainly don't want to hurt your feelings, but forgive me if I do it anyway. Thanks for also letting me know that you're sleeping with him without protection. You made me wear protected after our youngest was born until I got snipped. I know you too well, Kat. What was your plan if you got pregnant by this jerk? Just another collateral damage in my life. Raising someone else's kid? I seriously want to know, since my vasectomy, can I expect a similar speech? Listen, Rick, you'll raise this child as your own, or I'll take everything you hold dear. Is that what I have to look forward to? Of course not. That would never happen. Can't we just focus on how we're going to resolve our issues like adults? You mean work through our problems so you can keep your lover and stay married to me? Go to hell, Kat. I'm getting out of here before I do something stupid. If there's an emergency, you can reach me through my parents. I'll stay with them until I figure out what to do. I'll think about what you said, but right now, I'm considering divorce as the only option. Please don't contact me to spout more nonsense about how we need to talk about this. I have nothing more to say. You've made your position very clear." Rick did stay with his parents. He laid everything out for them, including his conversation with Kat. His father was shocked but supportive. He didn't try to influence Rick's decision one way or the other. He simply told him that he would be there for him, no matter what Rick decided. On the other hand, his mother was relentless. Even as a child, Rick had never doubted who was in charge of the family. His mother ran everything, and she started in on him as soon as he finished his story. "Oh, come on, Ricky." She never stopped calling him that. "It can't be as bad as all that. You have 4 wonderful kids who need you very much. You just need to find a way to coexist with Kat. I know she loves you." "Oh, Mom, did you understand everything correctly? She's having sex with another man and wants me to accept it." "Ricky, listen to me. Divorcing her is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. In a few months, she will get over her infatuation with this other man and realize what she has at home. Don't divorce her. I know you can get through this." She repeated this day and night, often crying and pleading with him to reconsider the divorce. Sometimes she would even resort to the old, "I'm very disappointed in you, Ricky. We raised you better." The worst thing she said, and although she apologized immediately, it still hurt him terribly, "Ricky, if you don't go back to Kat and work this out, I will never forgive you." Rick knew that his parents loved their grandchildren dearly, but he also noticed that whenever his mother started nagging him, his father would try to disappear from the room. When they were alone, his father reminded him that he would support any decision Rick made, but he never said anything like that when his mother was around. In the end, Rick concluded that it was best to keep the family together. In any case, he didn't have many options. He felt like a bird trapped in a cage. He couldn't find a way out. So he just decided to endure and make the best of a bad situation. And he went home. "Listen, Kat, I've decided to stay. I'm staying only so that our children don't have to grow up in a broken home. And because I know that if I leave, your bastard friend will move into my house in no time. I won't subject our kids to that. However, I'll stay here only until little Amanda turns 18, and then I'm leaving. I'm going to turn the office into my bedroom because I don't think I want to share a bed with you after you've been having sex with your friend." "No, no, no." She stomped her foot. "You will sleep with me. I've been with my friend for a year now. Have you ever seen or felt anything that made you suspicious?" "No, you haven't. You're sleeping with me, and that's final. Besides, what will the kids think? Since you're staying home, we need to keep up appearances. If you want to leave after the other kids have gone and Amanda turns 18, so be it. But until then, we sleep together." Kat understood this to mean that she knew Rick loved her, and that over time their relationship would improve. She wasn't going to give him a reason to distance himself. She vowed to herself to be even more careful with her lover in the future, ensuring that Rick wouldn't see or feel anything that might anger or hurt him. Of course, the kids were thrilled that he was back home, but Rick was even happier. He couldn't bear being away from them. Even during his business trips, he made it a point to contact them every day. He also never forgot to bring them small gifts when he returned home. Seeing their euphoria gave him hope that he could get through this. At first, things didn't go very well. Though Kat no longer bothered trying to convince him that everything was fine, she applied relentless pressure to get him to make love to her. But Rick couldn't do it. He struggled to act normal, but it was difficult, and an uneasy truce settled between husband and wife. Rick found it very hard not to be angry whenever Kat left the house alone. Although she told him she only saw her friend once or twice a week, in Rick's mind, it was every time Kat left the house alone, and it deeply hurt him. Kat tried everything to make him more comfortable, but it didn't work. After several tough weeks, she decided to see a marriage counselor. Kat felt that Rick wasn't adapting quickly enough to the new situation, and it was important to help get their relationship back on track. The kids were starting to suspect something too. Rick was stunned when Kat suggested this idea. "Wait, let me get this straight. You want me to go to marriage counseling with you, so I can feel more comfortable while you sleep with other guys? Seriously?" He laughed so hard he started hiccuping. But suddenly Kat saw a grim expression on his face as he became quiet and very sullen. "You know, Kat, maybe it's not a bad idea. We should do it." Rick had a few reasons for agreeing. Mainly, he was curious about how Kat would pitch her boyfriend to the counselor to strengthen their marriage. At the very least, it might be interesting. "But I get to choose the counselor." He didn't want some new age guru preaching the virtues of polyandrous relationships to him. Kat readily agreed, and for some inexplicable reason, she felt a thrill of excitement and anticipation. All Rick could do was shake his head in amazement at the depth of her delusion. Kat was surprised by the success of the counseling. After 2 or 3 sessions, Rick became much more affectionate at home. He stopped yelling at her and no longer sulked. Frankly, the counselor was also amazed. Mainly, all he did was point out to Rick that it didn't matter what societal norms were. What mattered was what Rick and Kat considered normal. The counselor had seen more and more similar situations in his practice, and they never ended well. Once the 10 sessions were over, he thought he should write an article and submit it to Psychology Today. Maybe it would help couples across the country. Thus continued life in Rick and Kat's home. Their marriage couldn't be described as divine by any stretch of the imagination. But they got along well and worked together to give their children the best childhood experiences possible. To an outside observer, their marriage seemed better than most. Almost immediately after the counseling sessions ended, Their lovemaking returned to normal levels. Rick and Kat never spoke about her male friend again. Rick knew he was ignoring the obvious, but he saw no compelling reason to bring it up. One serious incident upset Rick so much that he nearly broke their agreement. About 6 years later, Rick got a call from his father asking him to come over alone immediately. Kat noticed the serious expression on his face. "Rick, is something wrong? You're scaring me." "I don't know, but I think my mom might be sick. Dad said I need to get there right now." "Well, hold on. I'm coming with you." "No, he said I should come alone." Kat looked worried because she loved his parents almost as much as her own. "Okay, but please let me know what's happening as soon as you can." He promised he would and headed to his childhood home. When he arrived, his parents were both sitting in the living room. His father looked angry, and his mother had obviously been crying. This only increased his anxiety. His father spoke first. "Rick, I want you to know I only found out about this yesterday, and I'm very angry with your mother." And then he left the room. "What's going on, Mom?" "Ricky, I have something to tell you, and it's going to hurt. I never wanted this. I just wanted to keep your family together. You know how much I love the grandchildren." "Just tell me, Mom." "It was me who saw Kat with that guy many years ago. I saw them coming out of a hotel room when I was meeting Doris for lunch." "What? And you didn't tell me? How could you do this to me?" "Here, the children were just babies. They needed both parents." She continued talking, but he didn't hear the rest. He was stunned. His own mother. Rick stood up and left without saying another word. When he returned home, Kat nervously bombarded him with questions, but he simply said that his parents were worried about whether they had enough money to cover all the kids' college expenses. "I told them we're working on it. They said they'll help as much as they can. They're just getting older and worrying. I think it's typical for old folks." "Well, thank God. I hope you told them not to worry anymore." Rick just nodded and went to the backyard. Rick's relationship with his mother was never the same. Oh, they saw each other, usually with the grandchildren and Kat, but the close bond they once had was gone forever. The same was true for his parents' marriage. His father actually left home for about a month, so upset was he by his wife's deceit. Unfortunately, his father passed away about a year after that encounter. He died a sad man, and this really troubled Rick. He had several dark days after the funeral. To her credit, Kat was with him every step of the way and helped him out of his depression. Rick's resolve to leave his wife began to waver. He struggled a lot, but he realized that his wife loved him and was trying to be with him, so he doubted his decision. Their oldest went off to college, and the next two followed. Amanda would turn 18 in a couple of years. She had graduated from high school and was ready to attend state college. The years of raising a child, especially through high school, passed in a blur. Around the same time, his mother passed away. Death is a very complex and arduous process. There's a saying that being an only child, the good news is that when your parents die, you don't have to argue with siblings. The bad news is that you have no siblings to share the burden with. His parents left him enough money to ensure that all the children could get a college education without being burdened by student loan debt. While going through their papers, Rick saw a handwritten letter from his mother addressed to him. The envelope simply read, "To Rick after I'm gone." It was dated just 3 weeks before her death. He put it in his pocket and decided to read it later. Shortly after his mother's death, Rick essentially decided to stay with Kat. The pain and anger had subsided, and he felt he had a better life than most, so why rock the boat? Additionally, he saw how lonely his mother had been, and he worried the same thing might happen to him if he left Kat. Amanda was ready to leave for college, and he was already beginning to suffer from empty nest syndrome. Rick tossed the letter in a drawer and forgot about it for a few weeks. One day, while rummaging through his drawer, he saw it and decided to read it. What he read shocked him, and he could hardly believe it. That's the trouble with being lied to. Trust disappears, so you question everything. Was the content true, or was his mother just trying to look better after her death? He decided to tear up the letter and not say a word about it. Less than a year remained before Amanda turned 18 and went off to college. But he often thought about the letter, and it influenced his decisions about the future. The day after Amanda left for school, Rick sat down next to Kat. Kat, I've met with a lawyer, and I'm going to divorce you. Will you go to the office to sign the papers, or should I have you served? I don't want to embarrass you, but it's time for me to move on. But why? We've been so good all these years. Because I don't love you, Kat, and we agreed I'd stay until Amanda turned 18. You don't love me? No, Kat, and my love didn't gradually fade. It ended the moment you threatened me. I owe it to myself to leave, as we agreed 10 years ago. I know our paths will cross again because of the kids and grandkids, so I'll be polite, but we're done. Come on, Rick. You mean all those times we held hands, the countless times you told me you loved me, and making love wasn't real? I know the difference between sex and love, and you made love to me. It took some time, but after a few months, revenge sex turned into sex, and then into making love. I know that's what it was. I lied to you, Kat. It was an act. And do you know why? Now Kat was openly crying. She said nothing, just shook her head no, because I realized something that hit me like a ton of bricks. You could divorce me at any time and for any reason. Do you know why I agreed to the counseling? We live in a no-fault state. You could have filed for divorce just because I forgot to take out the trash or missed your birthday. What if over time, you fell in love with your boy toy? I'd become a part-time dad. You held all the power in our relationship. I couldn't take that risk, so I focused on being the best father I could be and pretended with you. I don't believe you. I know you love me. I know you do. I would never do anything like that to you. She was hysterically screaming and sobbing uncontrollably. Perhaps only now did she finally grasp the true depth of her actions. Wait, please, Rick. I have to tell you something. I haven't seen my boyfriend or been with anyone else but you for almost 10 years. Am I supposed to believe that? That's quite a gamble, even for you, Kat. Rick truly felt that Kat would say or do anything to get what she wanted. I swear, it's the truth, Rick. I've been completely faithful to you for almost 10 years now. Why? What happened? You never told me anything. I thought you wouldn't believe me anyway, so I didn't say anything. After I told him that you knew about our relationship, he started to change. When we were together, he began belittling you, calling you a weak cuckold. He started telling me that I should cut you off, and said all kinds of perverse things when we were intimate. Finally, one day, I'd had enough. I slapped him and walked out. I never went back, and I've never been with anyone else since then, only you. How many times did you slap him? Just once. Why do you ask? Just curious. At least we're even in that regard. So, you kept this to yourself all these years? Yes, Rick. I decided the only thing I could do was be the best mother and wife I could be, and I thought we were doing well. Well, I'll give you that. You've been a fantastic mom. I can't see how anyone could be better, and I know you'll be a great grandmother. But I have to tell you, my pain is still there and isn't going away. I'll also give you credit for trying to be a good wife. I know that the closeness we had before your affair never returned, but I knew you were trying and that you cared about me. Still, for me, it was never better than just two friends with benefits. Please, Rick, you have to stay. Please don't leave me. I'll do anything you say to keep you. I'm begging you. All right, Kat, then answer me one question. A few years ago, I found out it was my mother who saw you with your lover. Kat acted as if she was shocked by this revelation. Did you ever talk to her about it? After a significant pause, she answered, No, dear. I had no idea your mother saw me. Strange, Kat. She told me that later that same day you confronted her and threatened that if she told me about it, she would be responsible for destroying our family and that you would make sure she never saw her grandchildren again. I didn't do anything like that. I don't know, Kat, but what my mom told me sounds very much like what you said to me 10 years ago. Now the problem is that I don't believe you. I'm very sorry, but there's nothing you can say that would make me stay. Anyway, it's time for me to do something for myself. I've spent all this time here for the kids, and now it's my time. Goodbye, Kat. Kat collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably, but Rick was resolute. He left his house for the last time. That same day, he began receiving angry and emotional calls from each of the children, asking him why he had left their mother. Before responding, he asked each one a simple question. Was I a good father? They assured him that he had been a fantastic father throughout their lives. He was moved to tears by their affirmation of his efforts. Once he composed himself, he told them the unvarnished truth, including their grandmother's involvement. He held nothing back and sugar-coated nothing. He explained that he had almost left then because he was overwhelmed by anger and shame. They all understood and thanked him for staying with them. While they maintained relationships with their mother, things were never the same. Rick never spoke to Kat again. He even refused to be in the same room with her, except during their children's weddings and grandchildren's birthdays. Rick loved his independent life. He realized there was a big difference between being alone and loneliness. He was never lonely because he had an important part of his children's love and respect.
Thank you for being with us and listening until the end. If you found it interesting, please subscribe, give us a like, and leave your comments. And we'll see you on the Cheating Secrets channel.